America's Got Talent is full of heartbreaking tragedies, from a 60-year-old stripper who battled cancer twice, to a 17-year-old dance captain who took her own life. I'll be going over every AGT member who tragically passed away, starting with one of the most shocking, Brandon Rogers, the doctor who never got to see his dream. Let's start with Brandon Rogers, because his story will mess you up in ways you're not ready for. This guy was living a double life that sounds too good to be true. By day, he's Dr. Brandon Rogers, a family medicine resident in Portsmouth, Virginia, literally saving people's lives. By night, he's sitting in his car between medical rounds, singing soulful covers that are going viral on social media. Think about that for a second. While you're scrolling TikTok complaining about your job, this man is working 12-hour shifts at a hospital and still finding time to create beautiful music.
This is not a coincidence. And for more.
His car singing videos were blowing up online because people couldn't believe someone could have that much talent while also being a literal doctor. So when he shows up to AGT Season 12, everyone's expecting something special, and he delivers. He walks on that stage and performs Stevie Wonder's Ribbon in the Sky with the kind of smooth vocals that give you chills. The judges are on their feet, the audience is losing their minds, and you can see in his eyes that he knows this is his moment. But here's where the story gets absolutely devastating. Brandon filmed that audition, walked off that stage, probably feeling like he was about to change his life forever, and then just weeks later, he's dead. Car accident in Maryland. He was only 29 years old, and he never got to see his audition air on television. His family had to make one of the most heartbreaking decisions imaginable. Do you let millions of people watch your son's final performance? Do you turn his moment of triumph into a memorial? They said yes, and his audition aired posthumously, which means every single person who watched it knew they were seeing a dead man sing about dreams he'd never get to chase. But Brandon's sudden death was just the beginning of AGT's darkest pattern, because the next performer proves that even childhood can't protect you from the spotlight's deadliest side effects. Emily Gold, the 17-year-old who couldn't dance away from pain. Emily Gold was everything you'd want your teenager to be. She was a senior at Los Osos High School in California. Captain of the varsity dance team, the kind of kid who had that natural leadership energy that makes everyone around her better. When her dance team made it onto AGT Season 19, it felt like the perfect success story. Their routine to OMG was pure energy, synchronized flips, perfect timing, the kind of performance that makes you believe in the power of teamwork and young talent. Emily was front and center, leading her team with the confidence of someone who was born to be on stage. They got 3 yes votes, a standing ovation, and advanced to the quarterfinals. Everyone was talking about how these kids represented the future of dance, how Emily's leadership was inspiring, how this was exactly the kind of wholesome content AGT needed. She was 17 years old with her whole life ahead of her, a team that looked up to her, and a national platform to showcase her talent. But behind all those flips and smiles, Emily was fighting a battle nobody could see. The pressure, the social media attention, the expectations, the competition. It was all building up inside a teenage mind that wasn't equipped to handle it. And just weeks after their elimination, Emily Gold was found dead by suicide near a freeway overpass at 11:52 p.m. on September 13th, 2024, 17 years old. She should have been worried about college applications and prom dates, not planning her own death. Her passing sent shockwaves through social media and started conversations about teen mental health that nobody wanted to have. Because how do you explain to the world that someone who looks so happy, who had so much talent, who was surrounded by friends and success, could still feel like dying was her only option? But if you think teen suicide is AGT's darkest chapter, wait until you hear about the cancer story that made the entire country cry. Nightbird, the woman who sang her way to heaven. Jane Marchevsky walked onto the AGT season 16 stage knowing she was probably going to die. She had terminal cancer, doctors gave her a 2% chance of survival, and the disease was spreading through her lungs, spine, and liver like wildfire.
I changed my name thinking that it would change my mind. I thought that all my problems, they would stay behind.
Most people in her situation would be in bed, fighting for every breath, saying goodbye to their families. Instead, she grabbed a microphone and performed an original song called It's Okay that turned her death sentence into the most powerful 3 minutes in television history. Her voice wasn't technically perfect, she wasn't doing crazy runs or hitting impossible notes, but every word came from a place of such raw truth that you couldn't look away.
We're all a little lost and it's alright. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. If you're lost, we're all a little lost and it's alright.
She's singing about accepting death with grace, finding peace in chaos, and somehow making terminal cancer sound beautiful. Simon Cowell, the man who's seen everything and never gets emotional, starts crying and gives her his golden buzzer. The entire audience is sobbing, and Jane, who calls herself Nightbird, is standing there with this serene smile like she just delivered a message from heaven.
I'm not going to give you a yes. I'm going to give you something else.
The song goes viral worldwide. Millions of people are sharing her story, saying she changed their perspective on life, calling her an angel. She becomes the most beloved contestant in AGT history without even making it to the live shows, but that's because she can't make it to the live shows. While everyone's falling in love with her hope and positivity, the cancer is winning. She has to withdraw from the competition as her health deteriorates. And on February 19th, 2022, at just 31 years old, Jane Marchevsky passed away. What makes her story the most heartbreaking isn't just that she died, it's that she turned her dying process into a masterclass on hope. She proved that some people can find light even in their darkest moments, but even hope couldn't save her. Her death broke America's heart, but the next performer broke his family's in a completely different way because childhood trauma has a way of following you no matter how far you run. Nolan Neal. When your recovery story becomes your relapse. Nolan Neal came to AGT season 15 with a story everyone wanted to believe in. He'd been on The Voice before, he was a rock musician from Nashville, and he'd fought his way back from addiction to rebuild his life through music.
Sunshine, where'd you go today? Sometimes
His original song, Lost, was literally about his recovery journey, and when he performed it, you could feel the entire audience rooting for him. The song is beautiful and heartbreaking because it's so honest about what addiction does to your life. He's singing about losing everything, hitting rock bottom, and finding his way back to the surface.
I'm alive. I deserve to be buried underneath black sky.
The judges are moved to tears, the audience gives him a standing ovation, and he advances to the quarterfinals as this beacon of hope for anyone fighting similar battles. Nolan became the poster boy for second chances. People in recovery were sharing his performance, saying he gave them strength to keep fighting. Parents of addicted kids were showing them Nolan's story as proof that recovery was possible.
Or if I'm falling so far away, that's the day I found myself.
He wasn't just performing music, he was performing miracles in people's lives. But addiction doesn't care about your inspiring message or how many people you've helped. Addiction doesn't care that you went on national television and shared your recovery story. Addiction is a disease that can kill you even when you're supposedly winning.
Last time.
On July 18th, 2022, Nolan Neal was found dead in his Nashville apartment. The medical examiner ruled it an accidental overdose from acute combined drug toxicity, fentanyl, morphine, methamphetamine, and amphetamine. He was 41 years old. The man who gave hope to millions of people struggling with addiction had secretly lost his own battle. He spent his final years helping others fight their demons while drowning in his own, proving that being an inspiration doesn't make you immune to the very thing you're inspiring people to overcome. overcome. But if you think addiction is the cruelest killer, the next story involves someone who actually won it all and still couldn't escape tragedy. Neely Boyd, the winner who lost everything. Neely Boyd's story should have been the perfect American dream.
A place for us, somewhere a place for us.
Discovered he had this incredible operatic tenor voice, and somehow made it all the way to winning AGT Season 3. His performance of Puccini's Nessun Dorma is legendary. This big guy from a small town hitting notes that would make professional opera singers jealous. Winning AGT changed everything for Neil. Record deal, album release, concert tours. He even ran for political office back in Missouri. He became proof that talent can overcome any background.
Somewhere a place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there.
That the American dream is still possible if you've got the voice and the determination to make it happen. But success comes with its own set of problems. The pressure to maintain your career, the lifestyle changes, the constant travel and performance schedule. Neil struggled with his weight, which put stress on his heart and other organs. Then in 2017, he was in a serious car accident that made his health problems even worse. His body started failing in multiple ways. Heart problems, kidney issues, liver disease. It was like everything was breaking down at once. On June 10th, 2018, just 10 years after winning America's Got Talent, Neely Boyd died from heart failure, kidney failure, and liver disease. He was only 42 years old. Think about that timeline. He went from unknown small-town guy to AGT winner to dead in just 10 years. Success couldn't protect him from his own body giving out. All that talent, all that achievement, all those dreams he'd accomplished, and none of it mattered when his organs decided they were done. At least Neil got to enjoy some success before dying. But the next performer never got that chance because cancer doesn't care about your age or your dreams or your record-breaking courage. J.J. Phillips. The rocker who COVID couldn't spare, J.J. Phillips was impossible to miss. Big hair, glam metal style, keyboards that he turned into rock anthems. He was like a time machine back to the 80s, but with genuine talent instead of just nostalgia. He'd actually auditioned for AGT Season 4 years earlier, but came back for Season 12 with more experience and better performances. His high-energy keyboard solos were infectious. He wasn't just playing music, he was celebrating it, bringing back that unapologetic rock star energy that made crowds lose their minds. He made it to the quarterfinals because he understood something most performers miss. Entertainment isn't just about technical skill, it's about joy and charisma and making people feel something. JJ was building a career on that 80s revival energy, touring, recording, living his best rock star life. Then the pandemic hit, and like everyone else, his world got turned upside down. No live shows, no touring, no way to make money doing what he loved. By late 2021, things were supposed to be getting back to normal. Vaccines were available, lockdowns were lifting, the worst was supposed to be behind us. But during Thanksgiving week 2021, JJ fell ill with COVID-19. He was unvaccinated, and the virus hit him hard. On November 25th, 2021, JJ Phillips was found dead at home from COVID-19 complications. He was only 30 years old, and his father was hospitalized with the same illness. The pandemic that was supposed to be over claimed another young artist who thought he had decades left to rock. At least JJ's death made sense in a pandemic context, but the next performer's death came completely out of nowhere, proving that even when you know you have health problems, your body can still surprise you with how quickly it gives up. Kabir Singh, the comedian whose heart gave out. Kabir Singh was the kind of comedian who could make cultural differences hilarious instead of divisive.
America Got Talent, make some noise. Come on, buddy, let's make some noise. Let's go, friend, let's go, buddy, come on. Okay, very nice.
This Bay Area stand-up specialist brought multilingual routines to AGT Season 16 that had him roasting family dynamics, dating disasters.
My mom text messages me the most useless text messages in the history of text messages, okay? I got one from her the other day. I swear to God, this is what it said, verbatim. I whip it out, it says, "Oh my God, the remote is not working."
And the clash between traditional Indian culture and modern American life. His comedy was sharp, but never mean. He could joke about arranged marriages, overprotective parents, and cultural expectations in ways that had both immigrant kids and their parents laughing together.
I got the new iPhone with Siri on it. Do you guys have Siri? Siri's racist. Nobody with an accent can use Siri. Every commercial is white people. Beep, beep, Siri, could you tell Michael and Jason that me and Ben are on the way, please?
When he got 4 yes votes and advanced to the semifinals, it felt like validation for every comedian who'd ever tried to bridge cultural gaps through humor. Kabir was building a solid career, Comedy Central appearances, international tours, that sweet spot where you're successful enough to make a living, but not so famous that you lose your edge.
I used it once. I'm like, beep, beep, Siri, could you tell Rajinder, Patinder, and Satinder that me and Priya are on the way, please? Beep, beep, we've located 5 7-Elevens in your area. I'm like, wow, really? Come on.
He understood that the best comedy comes from truth, and his truth was navigating multiple cultures while trying to make everyone laugh. But Kabir had a medical condition that most people didn't know about. He was born with congenital heart disease and had already undergone 2 heart surgeries earlier in his life. Most people with his condition live normal lives, but the heart is unpredictable, and stress from performing and traveling can make things worse. On December 4th, 2024, Kabir Singh was found dead in his sleep at the age of 39. Authorities suspect natural causes related to his heart condition, with a toxicology report still pending. His heart, which had already been through so much, simply decided it couldn't keep going. The comedy world lost a voice that was just hitting his stride, proving that even when you know you have health issues, death can still come without warning when your heart literally can't handle one more punchline. Heart disease is brutal because it's medical and unpredictable, but at least it makes sense. The next death involves someone whose late life success story ended with the kind of accident that could happen to anyone. Grandma Lee, the late bloomer who fell too hard. Frances Lee Strong, better known as Grandma Lee, started her comedy career in her 60s after her husband died.
I'm divorced. My ex-husband and I, before we got divorced, we went to Vegas one time. He forgot his glasses. Whole time we were there, he was playing the change machines.
Most people that age are thinking about retirement and grandchildren. Grandma Lee decided to become a stand-up comedian who specialized in saucy, self-deprecating humor about aging, relationships, and all the absurd things that happen when you've lived long enough to see it all. Her material was edgy in the best way.
Came home with a whole bag of quarters. Said he broke even.
She could joke about sex, dating, and bodily functions with the kind of fearless honesty that only comes from someone who's survived long enough to stop caring what people think. When she made it to the AGT Season 4 finals, she became proof that talent doesn't have an expiration date.
I picked her up at the airport. She gets in my car. First words out of her mouth, "Mom, I got something to tell you. I ain't a virgin anymore." I said, "All this money I'm paying to send your ass to college and you still say ain't?"
Grandma Lee was living her best life in her 80s, performing in clubs, making audiences laugh, proving that reinvention is possible at any age. She'd turned grief over her husband's death into a late-life career that brought joy to thousands of people. But aging bodies are fragile, and sometimes the simplest accidents can be the deadliest. In October 2019, Grandma Lee fell and broke her hip. For younger people, that's a painful but manageable injury. For someone in their 80s, it can be the beginning of the end. The hip fracture led to complications, surgery, recovery, infections, the kind of cascading health problems that can overwhelm an elderly body. On April 24th, 2020, at the age of 85, Frances Lee Strong passed away in a Jacksonville, Florida assisted living facility. She spent her final years proving that it's never too late to chase your dreams, but a simple fall reminded everyone that those dreams can end in an instant when your body decides it's had enough.
And I've decided when I die, I want to be cremated and have my ashes sprinkled over the Krispy Kreme. That way I know my fat daughter-in-laws will come down and visit me a couple times a week.
At least Grandma Lee got to be old and successful. The next performer barely got to enjoy his world record-breaking talent before his own body betrayed him in the most mundane way possible. Geechee Guy, the record-breaking comedian who went silent. Michael Paul Cathers, professionally known as Geechee Guy, was a Vegas comedy legend before AGT even existed. This man held a Guinness World Record for telling 676 jokes in 1 hour. Think about that math. That's more than 11 jokes per minute for an entire hour straight. His brain and mouth had to work in perfect sync to deliver that kind of rapid-fire comedy.
I saw a sign that said, "Don't even think about parking here." So I parked there without even thinking about it. I asked my wife if I could borrow some of her sleeping pills, and she said, "Sure, knock yourself out."
When he brought that energy to AGT Season 6, it was like watching a comedy machine in action. Rapid-fire one-liners, clever wordplay, the kind of relentless timing that comes from decades of perfecting your craft in Vegas clubs. He made it to the quarterfinals because he understood something most comedians don't. Sometimes quantity and quality can coexist if you're skilled enough to pull it off. Geechee was a staple in Las Vegas comedy clubs, the kind of reliable performer who could fill seats and keep audiences laughing night after night.
I would give my right arm to be ambidextrous. I got a disposable camera, those are cool. You just take all the pictures and then throw it away.
His act was built on endurance and consistency, proving that comedy doesn't always have to be groundbreaking to be effective. But behind the rapid-fire jokes and world record achievements, Geechee was dealing with health issues that his fans never saw. High blood pressure, kind of silent killer that affects millions of Americans, especially performers who live high-stress lifestyles with irregular schedules.
I love this theater. I think it's haunted, though. I did a show here last night. Right in the middle of my act, I start hearing, "Boo! You suck!"
On September 7th, 2023, police conducted a wellness check at Geechee Guy's Las Vegas home around 12:30 p.m. after someone was concerned they hadn't heard from him. They found him unresponsive in his bedroom. He was 59 years old, and while the exact cause wasn't publicly disclosed, his family mentioned his ongoing struggles with high blood pressure. The man who could deliver 676 jokes in 1 hour had finally gone silent, proving that even world record holders can't outrun the health problems that catch up with everyone eventually. At least Geechee's death was from natural causes that made medical sense. Our final story involves magic that couldn't save its creator from the most random and devastating fate possible. But their stories hit harder because we watched them chase their dreams on the biggest stage in America. Subscribe if this opened your eyes to what these performers really went through.